All right, you're going to love this edition with Bas Rutten. Bas Rutten is the greatest MMA fighter of all time. We're going to have a formal introduction in just a moment. But we had to go to Miami to meet with Bas. He was there with Karate Combat. And so we're not going to be in studio for this. But if you like what you see here, make sure you subscribe and hit the share button, turn on notifications. Bas Rutten is a Dutch-American UFC Hall of Famer, former UFC heavyweight champion, and three-time King of Pancrase world champion. He's known for his dynamic striking and submission expertise. Rutten retired undefeated in his last 22 bouts, and he had an 87% finishing rate. He holds to this day the highest striking accuracy they ever recorded, 70.6%. When Bas wanted to hit you, you had one choice: be hit. He became one of MMA's most influential pioneers. Beyond the cage, he trains American elite special forces, appeared in numerous Hollywood films, TV shows, and video games. In fact, just recently with The Rock in The Smashing Machine, the story about Mark Kerr, which comes out in October, he combines the action star presence with real-world combat credibility. He's the chairman and host of the Full Contact Karate League Karate Combat. He's also the inventor of the O2 Trainer, a revolutionary breathing device that's used by all sorts of people, including high elite athletes and people with pulmonary problems. He's a passionate Catholic speaker. Rutten proudly shares his faith and story to inspire others towards strength, humility, and purpose. Bas Rutten. Bas, it's great to be with you. So this is fun for me on so many different levels. There's some common acquaintances, but actually just like so many of the different things, you're like the alter ego that I would have had if I wouldn't have taken a more conservative approach. I went into business, but I started as a fighter when I was young. And which, by the way, I would imagine that everybody wants to tell you how, what kind of a bad they were as a fighter when they're talking about Bas Rutten. I want to be very clear about any of that kind of stuff right there. The gap and the distance, there's no comparison in that. But I did, for 20 years and worked out, and I've got all the injuries to prove it at this point right now. But that's what I loved. Is like, so I watched you enter into a world in martial arts that I always wondered about, and that is like, what happens back in this day of mystique of martial arts, what happens if everybody's in the same room, who's going to win?
Yep.
And people used to ask what style, and it became not about what style, it became about what man. But I watched you do that. Then I watched you do a lot of other things pretty incredible. You had a really, and still have, a great post-career, which a lot of people didn't have that.
Yep.
And it's not that you didn't have to fight your demons when you went through your post-career, but you kept it together in many different ways. You're a man of Christ, a great thing. You're a business guy, a family guy. So there's all these different things that kind of pull together and tie together. But you know what? You're a wild man. And that's like the coolest part of the story. It's not like you're this docile guy who just kind of walked into this, but you're kind of that unlikely guy that way, and I love it. But why don't we start with this? Your path and your journey into martial arts, that kind of started as a kid, at least in your head. What was that inspired you to want to do that?
Well, I had a horrible skin disease. Mm-hmm. I was called the leper in school. Melaatse, that's what they say in Dutch. But I looked it up in the Bible. I go, hey, it's leper. And now I embrace that, of course. And I had severe asthma also. Like really bad asthma attacks every 5-6 weeks. Week in bed, doing everything in bed, not able to eat, like that. And that, of course, because of my skin disease, I got bullied a lot. Yeah. Because I was the outcast, the weird guy. And, if you get bullied from like 6 till, I think, 14, because at 12 I saw a Bruce Lee movie on a vacation, Enter the Dragon, with my brother. We sneaked in because it was 17 years and older, but we found a way to get in there for free also. Yeah. and that's where I saw Bruce Lee, and that's how I realized, well, if I can be like him, then I can beat up the bullies, and they're going to stop. So it took me 2 years to convince my parents to let me do martial arts, and I was very fortunate. I lived two next beautiful neighbor girls. And one of them was dating the cool guy in town. Xavier was his name, Xavier, that's what we would say in Holland. And he told my parents, he says, listen, don't worry about it. I'll take him under my wing with the adults, so everybody will take care of him. Nothing's going to happen to him. And then within months, I started beating some of the adults up. And I heard them I overheard them talking about me in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And man, that kid's good, that Bas, did you see? He dropped him with a back kick. And everybody's laughing, man, that kid's got a lot of talent. And that gave me, I think, more confidence, and that led to the first street fight, which for me is always still my number one fight against Shaki, was his name. And they surrounded me. They first shouted, of course, something about leper. I shouted something back this time. They stopped, chased me, but I put my bike on the stance and I said, you know what, I'm going to just face it now.
Yeah.
That was it. And they surrounded me, and then he came forward. Come on, leper, you want to hit me?
Yeah.
So I did, and and it took
in
one
fact,
punch,
I do.
one punch. And I did Taekwondo. That was the weirdest part. So we weren't even punching, but somehow I just punched him and knocked him out right away.
Yeah.
Problem was his nose was broke, so the police showed up.
Yeah.
Confirming my mom and dad that there was violence, so they took me off right away. Always have to say this in defense. Also, I didn't tell them I was bullied.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure if my dad would have known, he would have said no, leave him on there.
Yeah.
But my mom had so much work with me. Every night she had to mummify me, so we call it. Put all the creams on my arms everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole family would send him bed sheets that she could rip up 2 bandages, and then in the middle of the night would scratch it off because it would itch so bad. I had a stone next to my bed that I was hitting constantly because I prefer pain over itch.
Yeah.
But then she had to come again, do it again. So that went on for years, So if I would tell her that I was bullied, I think that really would have hurt her. So, but that was it. They took me off. Of course, I couldn't do it anymore. And then when I was 20, 21, I think, I left the house. And immediately I started doing a form of karate called Shintai karate. And then I realized, hey, it's not full contact. I want to compete. And I found a Thai boxing gym like 4 months in. And I kept doing both because I wanted to become a black belt, but I also wanted to compete. And I started Thai boxing, I think, within 2.5 months. I had my first match. And then I just went on a tear there. Not controlled yet. I always tell people I was just because the very first time when you fight, right, it's chaos.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like in the gym that everybody seems to think that, I'm a great striker in the gym. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
No.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they can never get it under control.
Yeah.
You think they become a world champion because you see them beating up world champions in the gym.
Yeah.
But they can't perform under pressure.
Yeah.
And that's the big one, of course. But that came with me way later. Because I was just blessed being very strong. Just I knocked everybody out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't pretty. It was not technical.
Yeah.
A really good guy would have beaten me if he would have stayed out my reach and just picked me apart. But thankfully, I never had that guy, so that was good. I did lose a fight one time, but I was stupid because I took a fight while I was drunk and I didn't remember it.
Yeah, I know that story. Yeah.
That's a crazy story. And then anyway, they sent me they called me 2.5 weeks before the fight where to send the posters to.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in a bouncer for years at that time. After partying, we close at 5, go to the after parties. Everything bad happens at the after party. How do you stay awake? Guess what? Cocaine, all that bell. So I really wasn't in the shape. And then I said, what poster? He said, from the fight. I said, who's fighting? You. I go, me. Who am I fighting? He goes, Frank Lotman. I go, the animal. That was his nickname.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. I go, when did I say that? He says, on New Year's Eve. And I go, oh my God, yeah. I think I said it. Well, I knocked everybody out. Pride kicked in.
Yeah, right.
When is the fight? 2.5 or 3.5 weeks? And I remember I couldn't do 20 minutes of rope skipping, the first workout. So
Did you ever fight him a second time?
No, I did not. Almost in Pancrase though.
Yeah.
So my payback was because Maurice Smith beat him twice and I beat Maurice twice. And then he came to Pancrase. He beat Ken Shamrock in a Thai boxing match.
Okay.
And then right away I said, hey, I want to fight you again, Frank. And he goes, are you crazy? He says, I just broke a guy's shin bone on that event.
Yeah.
It was a move that, this is a funny story. I'm walking on the street the day before the event, and John Blooming is with me. John Blooming is the highest Gaijin, the 11th degree Kyokushin. He gave me my 5th degree Kyokushin. And we're walking on the street, and this is why he gave that 5th degree. And we see in Japan at that time already, like in 95, 96, the whole building was a big screen. Mm-hmm. So we heard hybrid wrestling, Pancrase. It's a very familiar voice. And we look, and it's the preview for the next day. And the first thing we see is me knocking out my first opponent. We go, oh, this is great. So I see this guy sitting in half guard, and he goes for a heel hook, an inverted heel hook. But I'm nothing on the ground yet. And I look at John Blooming. I say, that's a cool move. I should remember that. So the next day I'm fighting, and I'm in that position. I go, I'll just try it. But since I never tried it, I had no clue how much power.
Too much power had. Yeah.
So I broke a guy's shin bone in half.
So you must have had it, like not at this direction, but at this direction.
I just grabbed it. I just fell back.
Yeah.
And then my weight did the rest, and I heard a pop.
Yeah.
And he got up, and I go like, well, I heard a pop, and the referee looked at me because he heard a pop too.
Yeah.
We thought it was his knee, but he feels his knee, and he goes, no, it's good. And then we start again, and he kicks me with that leg, and I just flex into it, and then the leg wraps around my leg, and that was it. So that's how I got my 5th degree, because John Blooming said, you saw the move the day before. Yeah. He said, that's fun, and then you win the fight with the next day.
That's pretty insane.
So Frank Lotman saw that, and he said, I just saw you break somebody's leg. He says, I'm not going to fight you a second time. So he didn't want to do it.
I mean, just watching over the years, you had an intuition for that, because so this. One of the reasons I love this conversation is this goes down in antiquity. You are the first and only generation to go from separated traditional martial arts into mixed martial arts. I mean, that's like a pioneering thing. Nobody else is ever going to do that again. And so I remember, so my first 4 years was in Tang Soo Do. And you know Rick Rufus?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm from Milwaukee, so I'd go and train at Pat Rufus's. I wasn't really a full student there, but I'd go there occasionally for some workshops and stuff. So that was kind of the thing that I was raised under. So Tang Soo Do is also punching to the face, and of course, obviously kickboxing. But then I went to my first, so I'd crash all the tournaments, uninvited, just independently. So I go to this one tournament, and it's a Taekwondo tournament, first time ever. Now I have a 2nd degree black belt, but I'd never been to a Taekwondo tournament. So the guy comes in, and it's way more traditional. First of all, this guy in a business suit, Korean guy, says, hey, you got a cup on? And I was, before I'm warming up. And I was like, that's kind of a dumb question. But I just go, yeah. And he was not having that. He goes, you show me respect. I'm a master, and you're going to call me that. And I didn't know he's just wearing a business suit. And so, of course, immediately apologetic, I would have definitely shown the respect. So that was just weird to me, too. Now we get in the ring, and we come in, the guy comes in, and I'm like, man, his hands are down. Boom, I crack him in the face. Everyone acted like I should be arrested. Oh, yeah. What are you going to do? You trying to kill him? And I'm like, I didn't even know this. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. I can lower my hands and I can fight. So I lower my hands and he kicks me in the face and I'm like, hey. And everybody's clapping. Great kick. I'm like, how can that be, man? You could I could kill you with a kick faster than I think that I could a punch, and you just keep. And they're like, no, you can do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, game on now. But that was my first. I did win that fight, but it was my introduction.
Oh, good, because I worked with a Taekwondo guy from the Olympic Pakistani team. His legs, man. I give him 4 low kicks right away. He goes, man. I go,
what are you doing?
The speed is so insane.
The speed is fast. And so you do rely on that, because I never did any ground fighting, and, you have to rely on quick feet, and that's a real thing. So anyway, this craziness of like what happens when people get mixed together and they do these things was a fantasy. And I remember one time I was a black belt, and I had kind of, pissed in the corner of the dojo that I was in, each one of them, and this was like my place. But our owner of it was an American Taekwondo thing, so it wasn't really under the traditional history, right? But he had open sparring on Wednesday nights. And so anybody from the town that wanted to come in to spar could spar. Well, that's kind of crazy at the time. And so this guy comes in, and these 2 guys just looked like Mr. Martial Arts, like the long hair, there's this late 80s, early 90s thing in the earring, like you watched a couple of Patrick Swayze movies, And so I'm like, I am going to kick this guy's. I just can't wait, And he comes in, and it was, at first, it was the first guy who didn't quite look like that. He was kind of just like, he was bigger than me. He was maybe about 2 inches taller, and you could tell he's fast and strong, but I was like not worried at all. I hadn't lost in years. So he comes in, and we're just warming up. Now, I don't know if you ever did this, but when you're like, well, it's going to warm up at like 50%, but you're like going 80% because like you don't want to see my 80%, right? So we're just kind of warming up, and we're back at like kick strike distance, and he punches me in the face, and I'm like, I think he just punched me in the face, but like, how could that be? So we're going a little. He does it at will from kicking range, and I finally like lower my gloves, and I'm like, hey man, you got to show me what you're doing. He goes, I'm just punching you in the face. And that was it,
86 reach or something.
So now his friend comes in, and I'm going to take revenge on his friend. This is not complimentary to my ego at the time, right? So I'm going to do a back sweep, something that would probably never work in today's martial arts. But all you do is you come around your back heel, and you're basically your front back goes to theirs, and it just kicks them right up in the air, and they flip around. You know this, and your momentum carries you where it just perfectly is right above them, and you punch them in the face. You've got your point, and you walk away because it's point finding. I did it perfectly. revenge is going to be taking place. The guy's flying in the air. I'm ready to punch him in the face. And the next thing I know is this guy is stepping on my head. He's like, I don't know how he did it, but he's stepping on my head and squished it. So like that was the greatest lesson ever. It was like, man, whenever you think you're good, there's like a Bas Rutten out there, and there's always somebody better. But we were kind of testing with the idea of, going to the ground or not going to the ground. You actually really, truly did it. What was that experience like? Did you have any of that, oh, wait, it's this way type of moment?
Of course. What I always tell people, it's very simple if you do it like this. And a lot of people say they do, but they don't, because I can tell. First of all, they told me, you're a striker. You have to, if they take you down, you're going to be in the guard. Watch out for a triangle choke. Watch out for an armbar, a kimura, all these. Learn the defenses for that, and that's it. And you learn, but then you find out there's different setups, and nothing happens. And then one day I had like a moment that I go like, am I such an idiot? Why don't I learn this? Because if I understand how to put a triangle choke on, I pretty much already know how to defend it, even to stop it from even happening, or how to get out of it once it's applied, because then I understand it. And the word understand, that was everything. A lot of people know what it looks like, but they don't understand it. The example that I always use, it's the same example. It's like a figure four. I call it a figure four. So now there's inside mount. One hand is here, another goes here, and they lift your shoulder, right? Mm-hmm. Now you see guys in the UFC, main card, they do it, and the hand is here. Now look what happens. Now the arm goes up this high, and I can actually roll out and escape. Mm-hmm. This is a white belt move, by the way.
Yeah.
But if I push this down, now the arm can only go up this high. So once I start seeing that these little tiny things were making a huge difference, I go, what? And then I start understanding what happens in the shoulder. Why does it hurt? How can I apply more pressure? And then I said, okay, wait a minute, but everybody knows this setup. What if I create 3 other setups? So I got 4 different setups, and I start flipping around those. 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, 4 catches. Like doing that kind of stuff. And then I start doing it with every submission. Then I said, hey, listen, well, it feels good, the leg lock, like he shows me, because we were just watching TV fights and instructionals. That was how I learned. And
you kind of coached yourself.
And I said, I think I can do it better like this. And I found out there's more pressure, because now I start understanding the human body. I go, wait a minute. So every leg lock that you do, except the knee bar, but every other leg lock, the more the leg is bent, the more pressure it has. They still don't see that. I don't see that. I go like, it's logic, because if you break it down, it's logic. And that's it. And also, in the beginning, that all started, this is so weird. Like I was rolling, and they flipped me, rolled me over. I had no chance against other people who were rolling. And then one guy reverses me. And then he tells me why he was able to reverse me. He says, Bas, if you're on top of somebody and this arm is trapped, make sure that you have at least a leg standing out there, because otherwise you're going to be rolled to that side. That's what I did to you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I go, am I that stupid? And that was it, Dave. I don't know how this happened.
So you learned it one time, and that's locked in.
Yeah, but that was the magic ingredient. Yeah. And from that moment on, I started submitting everybody. Somehow that applied to submit. How was that even possible?
Yeah.
I started reversing everybody, boom, boom, boom. I think I tapped 3 times in my entire life in training. Yeah. 2 times where I was really drunk, they got me in the guillotine that I almost had to throw up. Yeah. Because I know that if I would have been sober, I would have gotten out. Yeah. And one time I was on an arm slicer that they did a week before the fight. I didn't want to take the risk. I think I could have fought it. Yeah. But if that injury goes to the fight, I'm not going to do it. But that's it. And I rolled with good guys.
Yeah.
So somehow that little tiny one thing applied to everything, and suddenly my submission became boom. And then I became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So obsessed, and you heard the stories, waking up my wife in the middle of the night because I would dream a submission. I would put her in that submission. I would ask her, says, your shoulder hurts, right? Or this hurts, or this hurts. And she goes, you're crazy. And I write it down. And the next day, she's walking in the kitchen. I lean over. I put her in a choke. I say, are you getting dizzy, or is this? No, my throat hurts. Okay, so it's a throat crush. It's not a butt choke. And I was Post-its everywhere with combinations and setups, 2 combinations.
Yeah.
And that's it. It was... The coolest thing that I did in my career, I believe, is that I lost my last fight by submission, got really angry, started training 3 times a day submissions, and then I won my next 8 fights by submission. And I actually never lost a fight anymore. I didn't lose my last 22 in a row. So that's right after when that clicked. Yeah. And there was another great moment that I always thought that I couldn't be a world champion, because in my eyes, these guys were here, and I was not there, especially with the ground fighting. And then we were all forced, with all the fighters who were on the show, we were forced to train one time together. Everybody was at the same time in the Pancrase dojo.
Pancrase,
So we were all working out. And I realized, dude, I'm handling these guys.
Yeah.
I thought they were here, but I was there, and it felt like that.
And not only that, they were like your boss. They invited you in.
Yeah, and I came home and I looked at my wife. I said, I think I can be a world champion in this thing.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were way better than me. And that was it. I think the confidence was just like the 4-minute mile, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it doesn't get broken. One guy breaks it. Now next week, 12 guys breaks it.
Yeah.
You see, because we think it's unattainable. And that's what I thought in the beginning. But once I knew, then I started gaining even more. Like I said, once you fall in love, you do it a lot. And once you do it a lot, you get good, you know?
Yeah.
But understanding it. That's with the commentating. When I commentate, like people tell me all the time, and everybody... Commentators ask me, what do you do? I say, break it down like it's a white belt for the people at home.
Yeah.
Act like they're white belts. And then just break it down. They love that because everybody tells me, Bas,
totally.
I love it the way you commentate because we learn while you're doing it. Yeah, because I simply break it down. You know, terms that you use that we're running the pipe. They don't know what running the pipe is. Explain what running the pipe is. You know, because otherwise they don't know. And once you start doing that, I had fight Mirko Krokop. In Japan, the audience is very quiet, right? Like nobody says a word.
Yeah.
I speak like this. The guy in the 20th row right now can understand what I'm saying. That's how quiet it is. And Krokop, after the fight, he would come to me and he says, in the ring, you see, he goes, dude, stop giving away the things that I'm going to do. Every time I try a setup and then you say it, but because it's so quiet, his opponent can hear it.
Wow.
I go, dude, it's my job. I can't do it.
That's crazy.
You see, but I simply break it down and I understand what it's doing. And everybody can do this. It's just doing it.
It's so that's one of the things, you know, like when people watch like any sort of mixed martial arts, they see this and they're unfamiliar. There's this rage, there's this anger.
Yeah.
There are some guys that fight with rage and anger.
Yeah.
But I remember for me, and I want to ask you about this, like it was all intellectual. Like I felt like I was like Spock when I fought. I was just thinking constantly. I was like, I just thought through the process.
Yep.
Is that what it is for you, or is like does emotions come into play?
No, not at all. Like that's why I don't look at fighters. Yeah, I don't like to look him in the eyes. I don't like because I'm a hothead. Yeah. If he tries to stare me down or something, I just don't even look because otherwise I really want to hurt him. And I know if I really want to hurt him, I'm probably going to telegraph. Right? I'm not going to punch like this. Both. I'm going to punch like that. I'm going to load up. Now I'm telegraphing. So I want to be as calm as possible. My corner was my manager.
Yeah.
I never had a coach, like I said. So the only thing, if I would get hit, his instruction was stay calm, stay calm. That's the only thing he had to say.
Yeah.
But my first time in Japan, that's when I was like, and I've been talking about this before. I actually did the Russell Brand interview last week, and I said that was the most insane moment for me in my life. I found out that my opponent was 33 pounds heavier. I didn't know there was no weight classes.
Yeah.
This is on the day of the fight.
Yeah.
And then when I asked him how many rounds we had to fight, he goes, 1. I go, great. How many minutes? He goes, 30. And I go, 30 minutes? Okay, great. You know, but inside I wasn't thinking great. I go, my God, what's going to happen? And then when I walked into the ring, I call it the bubble. It's like I'm in a bubble, and I only allow voices to come in that I need at that moment. But also weird things. Like, for instance, I went to an Australian couple who was going to move from Melbourne to Sydney or from Sydney to Melbourne, what it was. After the tour, I say, hey, good luck on your move. And I heard that during the fight. And they were looking at me, they go, what? I say, you're going to move to Sydney or to Melbourne, what was it? And they were like, what the heck? I don't know why I heard that, what that had to do. But I guess I was completely in the zone. I remember him kicking me at a kick to the body, and I blocked that with my shin.
Yeah.
A kick to the body. And while I'm blocking, I go, oh, that's the first time I did that. You know, I literally am thinking, and I see slow motion, and I see the setup, and I knock him down. He goes down, and he gets an 8 count. And then these 2 voices started in my head. The one voice is a very aggressive voice who wants you to run to your corner, because as soon as you're in the corner, that's when they start counting, so you give him less rest.
Yeah.
The other one says, no. Stand still. And you see me walking to him, and I look at him, and I lock eyes with him, and then I walk very slowly back to the corner. But that wasn't me. It was that voice telling me, and the other voices go faster. But no, somehow that voice, the relaxed voice, always listen to the relaxed voice, by the way, was telling me that I would do way more, I would be way more intimidating on him to
psychological
say, hey,
warfare.
Take all the rest you need, buddy. You're going to need it. Like, that's what he is thinking. Why is he not running to his corner?
Yeah.
But like I said, I wasn't in control of that. It was like something else did that for me.
Yeah.
And then I knocked him out, and it was scary because he was 2 days gone.
Yeah.
So
now this is the one too where your wife left, right?
No, that was the first time I fought Suzuki.
Oh, Suzuki.
And
okay.
Suzuki never lost, and I dropped him to the first 8 count. And I'm in the corner, and I see my wife get up, and she walks out. And I go, what's she doing? And she goes, yeah, I didn't want to be there because I thought you were going to hurt him extra because of me.
Yeah.
I didn't want any part of that. But when she went to the restroom, like 20 Japanese girls followed her, and they all start asking her questions. She said, I don't know how is Mr. Rutten? How is this? So it was crazy experience. Yeah, but and then the next day you find out how big it was in Japan.
Yeah.
Like every 1 in 15 people would bow to me.
Wow.
And I go, what's going on? And then I passed the newspaper stand, and I saw a newspaper, the front of a newspaper, and it was me hanging in the air in the splits, which I don't even remember. I remember every little thing from the fight, every move, everything he did, but I didn't remember doing the splits. In my victory. That was my euphoric.
Was that the first time you did it? That's
first. Yeah, I used to do this for fun with my friends. Van Halen, right? David Lee Roth would do that.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I said, I can do that. And I
might as well jump.
Yeah, jump. I should have come up with that song. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that was weird. That my opponent was knocked out below me. That was with the picture. And I go, oh, that's how these people recognized me then.
Yeah.
And that was overnight. It was the most wildest thing I've ever had. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know it became kind of an iconic, almost, Ali,
Yeah. Now I had to do it every time.
Like that. Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple of different things here that are cool about this. When you went through this, so there are 3 things really on my list, and I don't know how much we're going to get to here, but one is the fighting, because, I was a fan my whole life and a fighter, so there's like this like when young kids, and we're about the same age, so it's not quite the same, but when a young kid sees, Michael Jordan when they're young, they stick their tongue out and they dunk, right?
Yep.
Yeah, when I'm in the gym, I'm working out, I'm fighting, I'm trying to act like Bas Rutten, so we had to have that conversation. That's pretty cool. But then, you move into entrepreneurship, but you also really have this like conversion experience as well too. And that's pretty significant. And I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about, fighters, I think, have a pretty unique insight. I remember one time I was talking to a guy who helped exorcists, and the way he helped them was to understand spiritual warfare. And he did it because he was a cattle herder. Oh. And for whatever reason, like predators and the way that it gave him this particular insight that the exorcist found fantastic. And he was also a very docile, humble man.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, that like kind of life experience that provides some sort of external or spiritual insight. But fighting is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, just the way that you intimidated a guy by walking away slowly.
Yeah.
That like, if you were doing these things to win fights, which is a righteous thing, 2 guys are agreeing to fight. But if you want to use fighting tactics, deception, fakes, wearing him down, and you were Satan to do that, like get as an insight when you're like, wow, I feel this spiritual attack. I remember I did this in the ring. I'm not falling for it. Is there any connection there that you have?
100%, because it all starts before the fight.
Yeah.
Right? It's how you act towards the guy.
Yeah.
Like, and I would never say, this guy's nothing, I would kick his ass, I do this, rip his head off, blah, 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 blah. I would never do that.
Yeah.
They go, how is your opponent? I say, he's good. He's really good. Yeah. I'm just better in every aspect, but no, he's really good.
Yeah.
And that little mumble that I did, that's the only thing my opponent will hear.
Yeah.
I'm just better in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that will set him off, hopefully, because I want him angry, because I want him to telegraph.
Yeah.
You see, so I don't do it like, I'm just bad. I'm better in every aspect. I just mumble that very slowly, and then I go, no, but he's really good. And that's it. That's how I set him up. And then going to the ring, one time I go to the ring, I let him wait for 2 minutes. People, 2 minutes? 2 minutes is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
As I say, here's Bas Rutten. Like, the production would shout at me, go now, go now. I said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go when I want to go.
Yeah.
And I let it whole build up, and you hear this heartbeat. And I took that from, from that.
Oh, yeah, the Close Encounters.
No, the other one. That's that's Close Encounters. From, not Hitchcock, like the bird, no. Is that...
Outer Limits.
No, something like that, yeah.
It wasn't Outer Limits? The Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
My goodness, this has turned into...
So it starts with a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then you hear this guy, this is it. Boom.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. Boom. It opens doors. Doors to the pleasures of heaven for hell. And I go, all these sounds. And then slowly but surely, it starts building, and I get goosebumps now.
Yeah.
And then like a minute and a half in, so it stops, and then it goes, okay, dip. your turn. And then it starts, there's big house music, and I start running up.
Yeah.
But now he's been waiting for 2 minutes. So the next time, they expect me to take a long time. But I come up with, and I run to the ring, So every time I try to throw him off, just to see what he's going to do with the equilibrium.
Yeah.
And this was cool because once I read a book from Miyamoto Musashi, he would do the same stuff. I go, oh my God.
Really?
Because he would show up early for a fight.
Yeah.
Suddenly he was still on the road. He says, let's do it now. And then other times he would let him wait for like hours, just to also throw him off. I go, oh my God, this is so cool because that's a guy I really respect. So apparently it was good stuff that I did.
Yeah.
But unknowingly, I just tried to mess with him the whole time. During the fight, I would speak English to my Dutch corner. Why would I speak English to my Dutch corner? Because I want you, the fighter, to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because the things I'm saying are stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I'm laying on top and I go, we're going to go to Gas Panic tonight or Motown. Those are 2 bars in Japan, in Roppongi.
Yeah.
I said, Motown sucked last time, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, okay, I'll be back. But this guy thinks, what is he doing?
What is he talking about?
He's talking about going partying tonight?
Yeah.
What is he fighting? I just tried to get inside his head with weird things.
Yeah.
So instead of talking bad to him, I did that to Frank, though. Frank and I had whole conversations during the fight. Frank Shamrock. He would grab my arm and say, come on, man, I see you coming. Armbar, that's not going to work on me. And he says, by the way, I'm way too strong for you. And so we would have these talks, and he always turns me out Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he explains the story, I'm way too strong for you. Bas was talking like that. I go, come on, man, give me a little props here. But yeah, we had whole conversations back and forth. Good times, Bas. I said, great times, Frank. And constantly talking to each other.
It's funny because the camaraderie between most fighters. I mean, there's
really big.
There's some real rivals, but for the most part, like you're beating on a guy who you respect. He's beating on a guy who he respects, and you're going to go out later that night. I mean, maybe not that night, but and hang out. That's just weird to people, I think. How does that?
Well, that's a question, of course, for Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
They say you're not allowed to do that. Well, St. Thomas Aquinas says that violence is doing something contrary to the thing.
Yeah, right. So you don't agree to.
Contrary to the thing. So if you stretch the elbow, contrary, it will break. That's violence, doing violence to the elbow.
Yeah.
But also mental stuff. I say, but fighting and stuff. I said, well, you have to know how to fight. Well, it's Psalms 144.
Yeah.
Lord, be my rock and strength, prepare my hands for battle, my fingers for war, right?
Yeah.
So that means you have to know how to fight, especially as a father, as a husband from a family.
Yeah.
Well, if you cannot fight, if you don't have the physical skills, then you're going to need a weapon. What the Bible doesn't say that. It actually says that if you don't have a sword, sell your mantle and buy one.
Yeah.
So that means because you're the protector of the family, of the household, you got to protect. Yeah, but where does the violence come in? Violence is only when 2 people fight and one of them doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Then that's violence. But you have to understand, like, prepare for battle, right? Okay, these are soldiers. Well, these soldiers, they need to train. Mm-hmm. You think they just go in, and we just talked about it, like fighting in a nice, safe dojo is absolutely not comparable with fighting under stress. That's a whole different thing. These guys who think they're good guys, we talked about it already, they can suck during the fight. So what these soldiers need to do, they need to mimic war as close as possible. Well, that may be sometimes with sharper wooden swords, that literally can cut somebody, not kill somebody, but they need to be on the edge because that is what's going to happen. Now, those guys, most of the time, and it's also with fighting physically, you're going to have to hurt each other. Like when you spar with me, people, they don't want to spar with us because they see us and it looks like really hard, but I try to knock you out to the body and to the legs, and he does the same to me. Headshots, I don't. Mm-hmm. I'll take him, but I redirect, I pull back on the punches, I don't. Yeah. But for the people who are watching, they go like, well, this is crazy, but it's as close to fighting as possible. You need to go hard because otherwise you're not going to be prepared for it. And then, of course, what starts happening then, they go like, okay, well, hey, who do you think is better? You and I. You or me? I guess the very first time, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And they say, well, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go all the way. Okay, so everything is good. There's peace and quiet. There's no wars coming up. Okay, let's just go. Let's see who can beat each other. Now it becomes competition.
Yeah.
And competition is healthy if both guys want it. Yeah. And then now, in this day and age, when you want to fight to support your family, to put food on the table, and you're fighting with the right intentions, right, by the way. And like you said, that's why this picked my brain. the camaraderie among fighters, I think that there's another sport out there that is as the camaraderie is. Whatever sport it is, I think martial arts, especially mixed martial arts, because we all go through the same crap. Yeah. We all go injured into the fight. We have to work about those injuries. Find out that nobody knows what injury it is. Yeah. Everything goes down. You can't eat this, you can't do that. Everything is focused on the fight, So we know there's a lot of respect. I always said this, that if I think I can stay free everywhere in the world. If I want to go to Brazil, I'll pick up the phone from a fighter and say, hey, I'm going to be in Brazil, can I catch a few days with you? 100%. Yeah. Why? Because I do the same thing with him. Yeah. That's the bond that we have. We all go through. And now sometimes, very rare, what you see on TV when they start, it's real. Mm-hmm. But 90% of that is not real. These guys will respect each other after the fight.
Yeah, sometimes it's just in the moment.
That's it.
It's the emotions and it goes away.
That's it. It's just the emotional boundaries get crushed, and then you need to say something, or maybe he said something online. And we also online, everything they say, whatever you say to me, I can always pick it up in two ways, right? Mm-hmm. There's always a negative way. Yeah. And if you decide to think negative, which is the society we live in right now, then everything that you say is pretty much violence. Yeah. But it's not. Sometimes it's absolutely.
I think everybody should learn. If everybody knew how to fight, then it becomes a totally different circumstance. But I think any responsible guy needs to know how to defend his family, at least to a certain degree, and to be able to take care of himself. You know, and that's the crazy thing. We were talking about this before we started recording, but back in the days of the mysterious, this is kind of a funny story of like the mystery of martial arts, right? So I'm working out one time, Master Song, who is maybe 6'1" Korean guy, completely fit, stands straight, like just this, like he's almost a movie character, right? Yeah. And this is pre, UFC or Pancrase or anything like that. So he always gave me the keys to the studio so I could work out on my own, and I'm working out. And
keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, the keys to the kingdom. So I felt pretty cool, and even though I was one of the instructors, still that was like, he respected me. So I'm working out this one day. Nobody's there. The lights are off, and I punished myself, right? And so now I'm grabbing my stuff and I'm walking across the dojo floor by myself, just with my equipment, to go get changed. Nobody's in there. It's dark, and I'm kind of slouched along, like, man, I just had this workout, and out of nowhere, we made it so great, like almost like it was a movie. Out of nowhere, there he is in front of me. Like I almost have a memory of it, like with smoke in the room.
Right? Yeah, ninja-like.
Yeah, ninja-like. And he sees me slouching along, and he just pops me in the shoulders, and he goes, stand up straight.
Yep.
And I was like, and I started explaining myself. Like, well, I just had this workout. He was like, he wasn't having it. He goes, I don't care if somebody's watching you or nobody's watching you. You stand like a man at all times.
Yep.
And like that just kind of essence of the culture of it is separate from fighting. But it teaches you a lot about being a man. It teaches you a lot about you being strong. And I've used another aspect of this. One of the reasons that I think it's great for a guy to learn how to fight isn't necessarily that he's always going to win, but his fear goes away.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when I was beat up as a young kid a couple of times that inspired me to get into martial arts, my knees shook before those moments. And then once I learned how to fight, and I had taken so many shots that you might beat me, but you're not going to surprise me because I've been hit before. That gives you a calm that prevents fights. Yep. Because it allows you to use your mind because you're not in fear and talk and to be calm and walk away from it as opposed to a hothead. But how about, for you, like when you look at your history and you look at what you did and kind of the crazy like movie star, I should say movie character. You are a movie star now, but you were a movie character really throughout most of your life. Yeah. How different would that have been if you would have been like in the relationship with Christ that you have today?
Oh, that would have been, I don't know. I think with the bullying, I would have forgave my bullies, but at that moment, if I was already in a relationship with Christ when I was young, very young, I know that I should have forgave them. But I think once I touched on that once I knocked the guy out. But I also talked about this recently. I imagine I would have got back to the faith when my career started. There's actually two fighters that I'm still in contact with. Durand, he told me this. He was also fighting for Pancrase. And he was always talking to Matt Hume, who was also fighting for Pancrase. And they apparently had conversation. They maybe already started like praying over me. because they were saying, imagine if he will be with Christ, what he can do, man. He can do a lot. And that's what he told me when I got back to Christ. He says, Matt and I were always talking about that.
Yeah.
That you could really change. And I just said it also in a podcast. I said, I think, imagine you're the guy who promotes God, who has no tattoos, who doesn't use any profanity, who's like the perfect guy, but once he's in the freaking fight, he just annihilates people.
Yeah.
You know, and you always have, but that's just testing the skills. Also, violent-wise, I'd never had that. I had a few moments, like when I broke the guy's liver. You know, that was because I really didn't like the guy.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, like, let me break his liver. I just hit him as hard as I could.
Yeah.
And I've never been the guy, like my last fight, I knocked the guy with low kicks, he falls on the ground, and I walk away. Because I know he doesn't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And then the referee says, no, you got finished. And I go, and I literally look at the referee. I say, well, I figured I'm going to choke him then. I'm not going to hit him. You know, I was stupid. But then the guy goes, no, he doesn't want to fight anymore. So I never been that guy who, when I knock somebody out, I know he's out. Yeah. I don't have to give him an extra punch. I don't have to give him. So I think that is violence. That is also not being secure of yourself. Mm-hmm. You're still like that.
Yeah.
And that's why you're afraid he might wake up and you keep on hitting. That's like the person who kills somebody with 40 stabs, right? He loses control.
When I think about it, like having watched most of your fights, I mean, I would think that you would do nothing different in the ring. And as far as I'm concerned,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
You know, you like do all things for the glory of God. And like, if you're going to be a writer, you write. Like, there's a great story, guy. He was a novice monk, and he's painting a wall inside the monastery. And two senior monks come by and say, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm painting the wall."
Take a wild guess.
Yeah. I'm painting. Isn't this apparent? I'm painting the wall. And he said, "Who asked you to paint it? Or who are you doing that for?" And he said, "Well, Brother Joe asked me to do this." And he goes, "Well, in that case, I guess carry on." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I thought everything we're supposed to do here is for Christ, which means you should start over and paint better."
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So that's how you fought. You fought like that. So I would hope that nothing would change there. But you had some interesting times at nightclubs. And one of my, you see, is this like, isn't it supposed to not be my favorite story when I am a Christian? But like some of these stories,
it's either the Sweden or
the folklore ones. Well, no, it's not the one you were. I don't think it was one you were arrested. I think this is the one where you waited for the last guy to choke him out.
The three guys.
Yeah, gave him a little gift there at the end.
Yeah.
Tell that story. And then, and then how you got to tell the story.
Yeah.
And now go back, and you've got the spiritual maturity that you have now, and it's the moment before that fight is about to start. How would you have done it differently?
Okay.
But tell the story first.
In that particular case, I don't think I would have done everything different.
Okay.
Yeah, even go back to faith.
Because, that's a great reality of this. There is a time to fight.
Yeah. 100%. People need to know what violence is.
Yeah.
There's moments for most people will never need it.
Yeah.
But there are moments when you have to defend a loved one or yourself or your life or a person that's weaker than you. Right? The sheepdogs, right? We got the wolves, sheepdogs, and we've got the sheep, the wolves, and the sheepdogs. The sheepdogs protect the sheep from the wolves, right? The shepherd also. The shepherd is kind of the same.
Yeah.
He always goes. So I always think that if people get annoyed, and this is what happens. So we're in that bar. This is actually Motown, the bar that I was talking about.
You're in Japan.
And it's a long bar. And then in the back, there's an open space. And I'm standing there, and Ken Shamrock is there, Guy Metzger, there's a whole bunch of fighters out there. And I see these
people. Like by the three best fighters in the world all hanging out.
And more, like more from Pancrase. And I see these people flying to the side, like these Japanese people. And therein come three guys, American guys. One has Navy SEALs on his belly tattooed, which I know they're not. Listen, I train the SEALs. I can pick them out. Last time at the airport, last time, it's like a year ago, I walked over to a group and I go, "What team are you guys?" And they look at me, how would you know? I go, "You guys look all the same, dude." They have that same look. And they weren't, And they were pushing everybody to the side, violently. Women, everybody. So I'm looking at the fighters and say, "Check this out." So I turn my back. And I'm standing in the middle of the path. And sure enough, they push me.
Yeah.
So I go, good. And it started with, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's not nice. Look at these people. You're laying on the ground. You go, what do you want? I said, well, officially, I would like to, and right away I shut into it. Yeah. I would like to knock you out. So you think you can beat me? I said, I can beat all three of you. And then you want to go outside? Yeah, let's go all three outside. And two went really fast. Boom, boom. And then the third one, the big mouth guy, I don't remember what it was for. I think it was an armbar because I was doing requests.
Yeah.
So I would say, what do you think? Armbar. And he's no, please don't break it. I say, is it over? He says, yeah, it's over. I say, okay, it's over. And right away he jumps on me. So I'm rolling him to a knee bar. Now I'm stretching the knee. I'm not going to break it because I know he's drunk also. Yeah. But I'm hyperextending it, and he's feeling it. And then I say, it's over now because this is gonna lead to something bad, right?
Yeah.
And then no, please. And I stand up, and he right away attacks.
Goes again.
And then the guys went, just choke him out. And so I choked him out. Yeah. And I believe he pulled his pants down. and
let him sit there in the street and wake up surprised.
So, that was...
So maybe that part you would have left out.
Yeah, maybe at the very end. But you see, once they do something really bad, like, for instance, I was at a party for my father-in-law, and he had this big truck company that would drive buses to Spain for a really good deal, like gigantic. 150 buses a week. Like gigantic. And he had a big party. And I was there with my ex-wife at the time. And there was this one guy, I heard commotion somewhere. And then I heard somebody get knocked out. And then somebody else got hit. And then I found out it was 2 women. And then he hit my mother-in-law. So I know him, his name was Jan. And I looked at him. And he had a really weird, it's something in his eye. So I think he was doing drugs or something. Something. But since I know the guy, I don't want to beat him up.
Yeah.
So I said, Jan, come here. I said, okay, let's go outside. We'll find a tree. We're going to... So I'm behind him, and I hold his biceps from the back, and I push him out. I said, let's go outside. Have a really nice talking, because I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But what I don't know is that his son-in-law is following me as well. Maybe he was a hothead. And while we're walking outside, there's this old guy sitting there who was already retired from the company, but still was invited to come there for the party.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, Jan. And then Jan hits him full in the face. So now I'm still, but I'm getting pissed now, but I'm grabbing him a little harder. I said, come on, let's find a tree. So I'm pushing him outside. I said, come on, let's find a tree. And right away, both attack me. And I literally go boom, boom, left, right, and they're both out.
Yeah.
And then... And I look at my wife at the time, and I go, because a week later I had a Thai boxing match. I go, I guess I'm in shape, right? And then Jan woke up, and he made a lot of noise. So I didn't look at him, like every movie mistake, right? Never look at you, but I thought it's over.
Yeah.
And he came running forward. So I wanted to be flashy, I wanted to kick him in the face.
Yeah.
Which I did, but because he moved in too fast, I hit him with the shin.
Ooh.
And then his skull broke, his teeth flying, jaw broke, everything was good. He was in the hospital talking about razor blades, the scissors, his mouth fit. So that was the first time I literally had to go to court for that one.
Yeah.
But once I was in court, all these witnesses came. They said, he knocked out 3 women. And then they said, okay, Mr. Rutten, you're okay to go. But that was a scary moment because it went too hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't intend on that. I just wanted to kick him in the head, but not with the shin. That was.
You had another scary moment when you had a little mafia run in and you weren't sure which side of that you were on, right?
Which one was that?
When I think you were picked up in a car and you were taken for quite some time before you...
Oh, that was in the Ukraine.
Yeah,
oh, my God. Yeah. Well, I'm writing a story about my life now.
Yeah.
And I put big pauses on it because I look at my wife. I go, first of all, no one's going to believe it, but I have a thing for that. I'm going to interview also the people who were there present.
Yeah.
So they can verify, because otherwise people go, there's no way he did that.
Yeah.
But on the other side is also the amount of drugs and everything that I did. Do I really want to say that in a book? Because if a kid sees it, he goes, well, he did it and he still became a world champion.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a way to say that shows him that you're not glorifying it, but it's like, because almost like what first of all, you're in such a great place now and you've accomplished so much. But like when I look at life potential, I'm like, if a person lived a perfect life, maximizing every single moment in every responsible way, their potential would grow perfectly like this and they die at max potential.
That's it. Yeah.
But most of us go like this.
Yeah, it's too good. Yeah.
But yet you can make up a lot of time, right? But like, how much more, had you not made any of those mistakes, would you even have? I mean, that's a good part of that lesson.
Oh, 100%. It's like the coach who never fought.
Yeah.
Do you really try to go, or you want a coach that actually has been there, who knows exactly how you feel? You see, so those things, you learn from that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Okay, so you what caused your conversion? You
Leo Severino.
And so it began there. You're saying so that moment was kind of like dormantly active. That's a paradox, but
so. we stopped going to church. I was baptized.
What year is this, by the way, with Leo?
2014.
Okay.
So, but this is first. So my mom and dad stopped going to church when I was around 12. I was baptized, named after Saint Sebastian, badass saint. Only guy who got martyred twice, so perfect. Also for athletes and for military guys, so that was a perfect saint for me.
Yeah.
Did confirmation, did everything, and then around 12 we didn't go to church anymore. For whatever reason, I did see a book, a science book with the one cell thing that they still cannot prove, but whatever.
Are you talking about evolution right now?
Evolution,
it's
like one cell becomes a two cell.
Oh my God.
I said there's nobody. It's not.
I want to riff on that for one moment, and we're going to get back to that. This is the most I say this all the time. Like, as Catholics, we could believe in evolution if we wanted to, right? But like as logical men, we can't. Like, at least in my opinion about it. If you think just like the fossil record, like if a cow became a whale,
you
just like all of a sudden have like a cow give birth to a whale. Like it was 99.9999999% cow, 0.000, and then over millions of years, or whatever. You know what that means? Clearly, is that for every actual species we found in the fossil record, there would be a billion intermediate species.
Oh.
Billions for everyone. We'd walked in the studio, we'd have to trip over them, and you can't find any of them. We're supposed to believe this. Anyway, whatever. That's just my opinion.
Oh, no, you want to go deeper. This is a really fun one. Let's say men and women, how they got born from one cell. Okay. Then first of all, I start with, okay, so what was there first? The skin? Or what first started to be there?
Yeah.
And by the way, how does the skin stays alive? It doesn't need blood. Where does the blood come from? And the blood needs a heart. There's a heart. Okay, so the heart is there first. But how does the heart develop?
Yeah.
You know, and when the bones come in, when did this come in?
How did it eat?
Now, think about this. We got only two species, right? We got a woman and we got a man. What if that woman is born 100 miles away or made over evolution? And they never find each other, so they cannot do this. Right? So once you start breaking that down, you go like, okay, and now let's think about this. That needs to happen to 300 million species on the planet.
Yeah.
All the same?
At the same
time. And now
time.
let's talk about trees and plants. You know,
well, not to mention the male and female have to. Yeah.
Was the plant there first, or the insects to pollinate?
Yeah.
It needs to come at the same time. It needed to be like God said it is, because otherwise it cannot be, because they both are needed. So when do the men come in? Well, they cannot come in if there's no vegetation. It has to come in first with the vegetation. So vegetations, insects, then the animals, the birds who eat them. All these things, they have to come at the same time in order to. And now the man starts. Yeah. I mean, it's too preposterous. You go like, and then with 300 million species on the planet, this happened the same with the microbes, with everything, and men and women, and they find each other. They're supposed to be next to each other. This is the craziest thing, what I always say to people. It's a funny one, and Leo did this with a mousetrap, and I do it with something smaller just to beat him. And but he said that to me. He says, imagine we're for the sake of the argument, let's just say that we don't know what a clothespin is.
Yeah.
Right? And we're walking on Mars for the very first time.
Yeah.
And one of these astronauts bounces into a clothespin. And he goes like, hey, look at this thing, look at this thing. It opens up. Hey, another guy says, you know what you can do with that? You can put a line and put your clothes on and you can hang them on. Oh, that's funny. That's a funny thing. What do you think they think? They're going to think like, okay, over billions of years, two trees, identical symmetrical little pieces, and then a coil came and it burned and it goes up and it falls in between. Or do they say, well, somebody
made that. Yeah, I mean, there's like, you know, it's so
and now
funny.
you go, now we talk about DNA, and now you talk about billions of cells.
Oh, yeah.
This is man-made, but this is an accident.
I know. And what's so funny is like everybody just sits there and nods.
Yeah.
Like the emperor's new clothes.
Yeah.
Like, so I study, like personal development. So like, shaping your personality for high and peak performance, that sort of thing. Every single person who studies that same material, all of them are evolutionists.
Yeah.
All of them. And when they say things like, okay, if a person is like agreeable, it's because, this trait came from women primarily because they were nurturers with babies, or even like the dark triad, where it's called the dark tetrad. If you're familiar with that now, like, narcissism, Machiavellianism, now sadism, they've added that. They would say, well, the reason these people evolved is because this was like evolutionary advantageous to spread your seed. But then they would say, well, the reason that those people are bad for society is because everybody casts them out. So like, well, which one is it? Is it good for evolution or is it bad for evolution? And how about this? How about the reason we're agreeable is because God made us that way?
Yeah. No, and it's the most simple one. What's it? Lee Strobel, right? He was an atheist. And he said,
Case for Christ.
Yeah, that he said that in order to continue atheism, I have to believe that something, nothing produces something, that non-life produces life, that unconsciousness produces consciousness, and he goes over all these things. He says, I just don't have that much faith.
I don't have that much faith. I know. It's like, I can't do it.
It's the best line ever. And it's true, because if you break it down, but this is the problem with now, the phones take up all our time. They say things that they hear from their friends, but they don't dive into it. I was like that.
Yeah.
You see, so that's why it's good that I wasn't in the faith.
Yes.
I said bad things about the faith. I thought it was crazy, but I always knew there was something.
Yeah.
So once I dove into it, I realized, oh my God, if you think about Jesus just by himself, just fulfilled like 300 prophecies, that's 1 to the 300th power, or 1 with 300 zeros. But then you go to the Old Testament, there's 2,500 prophecies, 2,000 are fulfilled by the letter, to the letter already. That's 1 to thousands to the power. That's 2,000 zeros. That's the chances of that. Then you get the 66,000 connections between then there's written in 3 continents, 3 different languages, 40 different authors, all over the place, nothing to do with each other, and they all talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibility, nobody can make that up.
Yeah.
It's impossible. The Eucharist changing into a heart muscle happens around the world.
Oh, yeah.
A living heart muscle that they go like, and which is under stress, all the same freaking blood type. It's all Jesus' blood type. Like all these things, the Fatima, the Lady of Fatima.
Yeah.
The Guadalupe. That whole,
Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of Turin. These things, they cannot make now with modern science. There's no way to explain any of that. And then you go like the St. Joseph Stairs. Right, we went there when Kevin James was doing stand-up. I went with him from the East Coast to the West Coast back to the East Coast, to every state we picked for stand-up.
Wow.
It's a fun trip.
Yeah.
But we're driving 20 hours sometimes, and we go, but it's a fun, and we saw the St. Joseph Stairs.
Yeah.
And that, the way it's built, and that, this guy just shows up, and he builds them, and there's no nails, no screws, no nothing, no beams. It all supports, it's wood that's not from that area. It's like hundreds of miles away. There's no way. Nobody saw him bring in wood. There was nothing stayed there. And then suddenly the stairs are there, which now scientists don't even understand how it's actually working, because it doesn't have any nail screws, no glue, no nothing.
Yeah.
So these kind of things, once you delve into that, and which we don't have the time anymore because we're on our phones and we don't want to know, because it's easier to say no, because if I say yes, then I can't drink anymore, I can't eat anymore, I can't do this anymore, I can't swear anymore. Now all these rules are going to come in. But they're so short-sighted because the life is not even a blink of an eye compared to where we're going. I go like, dude, you don't have any foresight.
No, it's like dumb. It's like a whole worldwide episode of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
you remember that when if you were the last man, you remember that she says like, "There's no way," and he goes,
1 in a million.
So you're saying there's a chance? Like that is what it is. You like everything that you just said there. You put that in front of somebody.
Yeah.
And it's irrefutable, let alone martyrdom.
Yeah.
By the way, that's like one of the biggest ones.
That's the biggest one for me too.
You just don't see too many pagan martyrs. I'm going to die for the cause of whatever.
Oh, and their family members, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about that. Well, we're going to kill your wife then. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is
then
Jesus.
The truth is, if you kill my wife, we're going to be in heaven together. So, but you show all that to them, and they just like Dumb and Dumber, they look at it and they go, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's because you love your sin more than you love the truth.
But that's it.
Yeah, because in fact, I'm talking right now to a guy who's been promoted as, and I believe this time I am biased, Bas, but the greatest martial artist of all time. Okay,
that was the poster said.
That was the poster.
And I told them it was greatest looking, but they told the world looking off.
Yeah,
so it's not my fault.
That's right. So, but there are many people who believe that you are the greatest martial artist of all time. And even if they didn't, they would say, well, if we were to list the top 10, Bas is in there, and all it is like it's a whiskey argument because But the point is that with that being the case of who you are right there, if somebody say, well, what makes Bas tough? What makes Bas a bad? I'm going to give you my own review. My own review is that you love the truth.
That's it.
Like that is it. Like anybody who has a passionate love affair with what is true is way tougher than Bas Rutten's physical form that could beat up a guy. Like if you beat up a guy who loves the truth and you don't love the truth, you just beat up a tougher guy.
Yep.
It's a crazy thing. So talk to me about the the projects that you're in now, what's happening in your life? You got a movie coming out.
We'll go back up really fast because we forgot to answer the conversion, then people know it. So I said we didn't go to church, we didn't do anything. And there was one moment, I took a lot of medication when I was a kid, I was very sick.
Yeah.
And one of those pills apparently really affected my brain for memory. Thankfully, one other mother had a kid on the same thing. They found that out, so they told my mother, hey, stop with that medication, because, and that brought me back. But I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood. But there was one very vivid, till this day. Now I can see it while I'm talking right now. Me, 10 years old, staring out of a window, looking at a tree in my classroom. I can bring there, I can smell it almost now. That's how vivid this thing is. And I remember the teacher tried to get a hold of me, didn't work. The class is laughing already, now he's screaming, and I go, what? He goes, what are you looking at? I said, that tree. What was the tree? I said, how did it get there? And he goes, yeah, they planted it there, idiot. I go, yeah, I understand that. I said, but if you go to the tree before, if you go all the way back, where do trees come from? That was my question. And that always got in my head.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in my fighting time. I stopped fighting. I fell into the trap. First of all, injuries, they started, right? You fall into a pain pill addiction, drinking. Started drinking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, going crazy. Always happy though, dancing with the kids. But like I always said, even if you're happy, you're stupid. You're not a father. You're not a husband. You're not a man. You're not a man because you don't have yourself under control. There was a woman who passed away in that home, which I now realize it was her, because my kids could see her. They were talking about her, looking out the window.
Wow.
That woman. And I started getting attacked by something physical. And people go, oh, it's paralysis, sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep paralysis.
No, that's not the thing, because I would wake up literally and I could move, and something would sit on my chest.
So you could move your arms?
I could move my arms, move my legs. I tried to put my legs outside the bed so I could pull myself out, but the pressure was too much. I wanted to see if I could feel something, but it was sitting here, so I couldn't.
By the way, how do you get Bas Rutten's attention?
Oh.
You pin him.
You pin him.
Like an opponent.
And there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And the pressure was so immense that I couldn't breathe anymore. And then the only way to get out of it was, at that time, getting super aggressive and shouting a lot of profanity, apparently. And my wife would wake up and goes, again. I go, it's again. And so I started challenging it.
And were the kids hearing this too? Like
maybe they were in different rooms.
Yeah.
But and I would challenge it. I said, why don't you do it now? Or when I just fall asleep. Every time you wait till I'm in deep sleep? I mean, I thought if you're so tough, I thought it was the devil.
Yeah.
If you're so tough, why don't you do it like this? Anyway, so then a year later, we come home and I feel somebody's in the house. And I drove. I wasn't drinking. And I come home, open the door, and I go, wait. And my wife, what? I say, someone's in the house. So I opened the old StarTech phone, 911. I say, hit send if you hear something. I said, don't worry about me. I know where the weapons are. So I got it. And I'm walking in, and we have an open kitchen on this side, and then we have the dining room on that side. And the open kitchen goes all the way to the back, and there's a door connected to the dining room. And in the door, there's hanging a thick curtain instead of a door. Now, I thought that person, so the wall is here, was on this side. So I start walking here, making a lot of noise. Hopefully he'd do this. And whoop, make a U-turn, and I'm going to get the guy. And I come running around the corner in the dining room, and the curtain goes up against the ceiling. And I kept sprinting through, and there was nobody in the freaking house.
Oh, my gosh.
So it didn't move, I always tell people. It flew up against the ceiling. So that put me like, okay, there's something going on in this house.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know the time in between, but it was soon. I decided at 3 a.m., which I had no clue Jesus passed away at 3 p.m. At 3 a.m. is a demonic activity. I had no clue. But at 3 a.m., I decided to go there in that dining room because it was always cold there. It was a weird cold and sometimes a weird smell. And I was standing under the chandelier and I just started challenging it. So later I talked to Father Ripperger and he said, only you, Bas.
Yeah, right.
He said, but
I don't advise
that.
Yeah.
And somehow it stopped. Then I took my last fight, and I took the fight after 7 years of not competing to stop my drinking. Because my wife goes, are you stupid? Why do you take a fight? I said, honey, I can't drink and train. So I got to stop drinking then. So I took the fight, then all went well, won the fight. Then we moved to a different house with a pool, like a quarter mile up. After the first night, I asked my daughters, one slept upstairs, the other one downstairs, how their first night was. And the one upstairs, she says, it was good, but I had a visit from 2 boys. And I go, you mean spirits then, right? And she goes, yes. I go, wow, that's great. How old? She said, I don't know, 17. I go, you're not freaking out? She says, no, they were actually really nice, but one kept playing on the bed, and I told him, listen, I'm going to go to sleep, and I felt him pushing it, and then I could please stop, and he stopped. And I look at my wife, this is crazy, so I go to the computer if something ever happened in my house.
Yeah.
Well, in 2001, and we got there in 2007, in 2001, a road next to us, 4 kids, one girl and 3 boys, they went out of control on freaking Christmas, poor parents, and they went through our wall. And 2 boys died, one 16 and one 17 years old.
In your house?
We're walking outside. We see where they repaired the wall where these kids passed away. So now I knew, this is not the life. There's 100% there is something. I mean, now I had the physical attack, see the curtain flying up. I mean, all the craziness. And now she tells me this story, which she didn't know. It was... And then I do a movie, Mall Cop. We're doing a movie, and my buddy Kevin is asking me... Kevin James in the break... if I want to sit in on this talk about how the world came together. Now, I already knew Kevin was a believer. I didn't know to what extent at all, because I never was in there.
Yeah.
If he would have said, hey, this guy's going to talk about God, or if he would have meant God or Jesus.
This is post Leo, though, right?
No, Leo's there.
Okay.
So this is 2004. And then, but I know Kevin 28 years.
Yeah.
I don't know for a long time. But he never forced anything upon me.
Yeah.
I think he was just waiting for the right time. Yeah. And he said it the right way. He didn't mention God or Jesus, because I would have said, I'm in my room, I'll see you in an hour.
Yeah.
But he said how the world came together.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, light up a cigar at the Cabana, at the Wynn Hotel, at the pool, AC, hey, a Coke.
This is a place where people are always talking about Jesus. The Wynn Hotel.
100%.
Yeah, right.
The Satan is not present there at all.
Not at all. No.
And then Leo starts his conversation with the leaf fell from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that leaf just reached its end destination. Let's backtrack that leaf. And he goes to the branch, and then he goes to the tree before.
And you're a kid sitting in school
before.
now thinking about that.
And I was like, where do I know this from? It still didn't click. That clicked later. I go, oh my God, that's that story. And then when Leo started doing that, and I suggest everybody listens to that 40-minute talk, everybody I knew who was not believing, who was with us, everybody was on board immediately. Mm-hmm. He did it so, and there was no room for, but there was zero room for, and because I'm that guy. Yeah. I'm going to try to fight it. I'm going to see it. But so now I knew it was a design. Well, a design needs a designer, which is God. So that step was easy to make. Yeah. You see, but the way he set it up to me, I think that was the best way to do it. And then I realized it, and then it was like, poof, it started. We started going to mass. I already thought it was weird that they had priests there on the set, and there was daily mass, and but now it started.
On Mall Cop, you mean?
On Mall Cop, yeah. And then I came home. My wife started laughing. I made a picture of the priests in the elevator. She thought it was like they were dressed up like priests. There was no way I would hang out with priests.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was hilarious.
And now, was your wife a Catholic?
No, but this is a cool story. So I come home, and I tell her I'm back into the faith. And she goes, yeah, right. Because with my ADHD, that's 2 months, and I'm out. You know, right, she knows. Right. But the things that stick with me, like submissions, they stick with me. Mm-hmm. And they stuck. And they got more. And then, it started doing the daily rosary. And then I started doing the readings. And I went to church. I started doing daily mass. And then I found out that the devil hates it when you do everything in Latin. Well, let's do everything in Latin. Oh, yeah. So now I started completely going. And she started to see me change to a different guy. And then one day I asked her if she wanted to get married again, because we got married twice already. One time when we came to America, we had to be married in order to apply for the green card. Otherwise, it has to be all separate. Yeah. So we did that really fast, but I promised her a big wedding, which we did in 2004. Okay. And then in 2015, I said that I want to marry for the church. I still, to this day, I don't know if she said yes or no, but I do know that it was a Sunday, and the next day I couldn't get a hold of her. And then once she called me back, she saw that I called her. I go, hey, where were you? She goes, I was at Mass. It was at noon. And I go, you were what? She said, Mass. He said, you want to get married for the church, right? She says, because I did my baptism, but I never did my confirmation. So I went to Mass and I just signed up for RCIA classes. Wow. So for her, didn't need anything. She just saw me change into a different guy and immediately jumped on board. Now, years before that, in 2008, we are doing the backyard with me. And the backyard is beautiful. I mean, my wife made, she drew everything out like she wanted it. And Ernesto and his brother Arturo, they came in, and the close friends of us, they made that whole, it's paradise. It's a really beautiful backyard. This is in California. Yeah. And he says, hey, do you mind about the religious tile on the wall where the water comes down? I said, sure, whatever. But I was far away removed from the church, but that's okay. So there is that religious tile sits there. So now we get married in the St. Therese Church, which I already really felt a connection with when I went to Alhambra to that church. There was something.
Of Lassou.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you remind me of like a little flower.
Yeah, she's completely.
Yeah.
Roses and lilies.
Yeah.
My favorite
By
flowers.
the way, the reason I said that is because she's had the most profound impact on me, and one of my friends laughed at me and said, oh yeah, because you're a little flower.
Yeah. So no, and I was there one time. I took Antonio Sabata Jr. also with me, and we did a mass there. And we were standing, and we came in a little late because we had traffic on the road. It was a long drive, and I'm standing with my eyes closed, and he's poking me the whole time. And I'm laughing, but I don't want to open my eyes because, so after mass I said, what were you doing, dude? By poking me? He goes, I didn't poke you. And then Leo heard, he says, poking. He says, that's St. Therese. She pokes people. That's what she's known for. So there was this crazy connection. And then we got married in that church because I felt good there.
Yeah.
So now I'm at the time already in 2016, I'm doing my my examination of conscience every night. I do the Divine Mercy, I do the Angelus, I do everything. And then at 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, I go outside, sit outside, and I do my examination of conscience. I do wrap it up with like 15 prayers that I have, and then I go to bed.
Yeah.
And this time we came home late, and it was like I start doing everything around 11:30 in the evening. So I'm sitting there, and I'm doing my my examination of conscience, and I'm looking back because now I got 10 minutes before midnight, and I'm looking back and I see that tile. So I make a picture of it, and I send it to Leo. Say, who is this? And he goes, St. Therese.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, I got some time to go. But what I learned about St. Therese, well, that's happened on September 30th, the day that she passed away. And then it went into October 1st, which is a feast day.
Wow.
At that same moment, I was sitting outside doing that. So that was, and I never do it at midnight.
Yeah.
But that day, on the day of her death and her feast day,
that's amazing.
when it changed
right overlapping that.
And that's when I found out it's St. Therese. I go, what are the chances, that you have that? We were I was with Kevin, I had an ablation of my heart done, June 2nd, last month. And so I stayed in his house after the surgery. And then he came back from his comedy tour. So we had 2 days, we went for burgers, we went to things. But while we're driving up the road, I was telling about St. Therese, this thing. And while we're driving up this freeway, and everybody in the car is like, whoa, like flower air, comes into the car.
Whoa.
And we go there's no way,
amazing.
at the same moment.
Yeah.
We all looked at each other and go,
that can't be. And if you all notice at the same time, that's happening.
Yeah.
So, guys, you pray like you used to train. It's pretty
That's
awesome.
it. You just attack it the same way, you know?
Now
And I never, it's like the daily rosary, I build a habit and I won't break it.
Yeah.
How many times did you miss the rosary? Never. How many times do you do examination course? Never. The morning prayers? Never. You know, it's just a building habit. If I get up at 5 o'clock for something, I'll be probably up at 3:45 in order to do everything before I want to start my day.
It's more uncomfortable to miss it than it is 100%, to do it.
Yeah. I'll feel unprotected.
Yeah.
I feel, because life is so good right now. In the beginning when I came back, I lost a lot of fans. I lost a lot of jobs. And this is a crazy story, Dave. I didn't tell this before because that popped up with me like a year and a half ago, but I haven't talked about that yet. I made a pact with the devil when I was a kid. And it was, of course, because I was bullied. I was an outsider. Nobody liked me. And then, what you do if you're a weak person, you consider yourself weak. You want to side with the tough guy. Well, everybody's afraid of the devil. What about devil? What if about this? And and then you give me good life, and that's what I did. And now I think about my career. That was the craziest part. The crazier I did, the more I won.
And that's in the back of your mind this whole time.
No, but I didn't know at the time.
Oh, okay.
But now knowing.
Yeah.
I mean, in between fights, I go 3 days gone, and it's like I'm just disappear and go completely crazy.
Yeah.
With drugs, with alcohol, whatever, and then I come back home, and then one day rest, one day next day I start training again. Wow. I should have seen it coming that once I stop fighting, that's going to be a pattern, right? But I didn't at that time, But I'm insane, And the more I did that, I just kept winning more titles.
Yeah.
And I go like, it was like I got rewarded for it. All the bad stuff, I got rewarded. And it almost felt like that.
Yeah.
I never, even after fighting, when I did commentating jobs, there were jobs that people literally throw me with 2 guys into my room. I wake up in the morning, always put my alarm. I'm a man of the clock.
Yeah.
If I know tomorrow, if you tell me now tomorrow at 9 o'clock we have a meeting, I already put my alarm now on 8.
Yeah.
And I will wake up in bed.
Yeah.
I go, whoa, what happened? Don't remember a thing what happened.
Yeah.
But the alarm went off. There's a meeting in an hour. Okay, slept maybe 2 hours. Doesn't care. Take a shower, boom. Go. I always had that. Always had that. And I never messed up.
Yeah.
Never on air. I never made a mistake. They say, oh, we got to redo this. Never.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I got rewarded for the more crazy
and the
things
more
I
the
did.
devil can convince you that those things are actually a part of the power that makes you good at what you do, the more you sink in.
And I think I had no cares. So when I left the church, and I asked Father Rutten about this, I say, I think I made a pact with the devil. He goes, Bas, as soon as you came back, that's over. Gone. Don't worry about it. He said, but that's why I got attacked. I lost jobs. Really bad things started happening. Money-wise, started going down the drain. This is 2015, or 2014. Because he didn't like it. I lost like 150,000 followers right away because when I said I was back to the church, boom, all these guys were gone. And then everything went down.
By the way, kind of surprises me.
All the time. You want to be a better person and then people leave you.
And then, I mean, it's fascinating. Like, why
but
don't
it's good.
Yeah.
Because
of course.
I don't need those.
You don't need those followers.
I don't need them at all. So now I got the real core. And it started coming back up here.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while to get back up. Once he realized, and he with him, I mean, the devil, I think once he realized that I stuck with it and I was not going to quit. And then, like I said, was with the Latin, on purpose. Oh, I'm going to poke that bear, So I was constantly talking to him. I'm going to get you, dude, because I needed payback, And then I started slowly but surely.
That's amazing. So how old do you know Father Ripperger?
Very well. I mean, we'll text almost every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is he your spiritual director then?
No, Pastor Justin is.
Okay.
Justin Ramos from the Norbertines.
Yeah.
It was a big thing between Father Justin and Father Ripperger. But since I see Father Ripperger so many times, and my first confession was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was some horrible stuff. I had the whole playbook.
Yeah.
I start with a light one, hit with a hard one, pull back to a middle one. 14 pages of font 12.
Wow.
In Word.
Wow. You were thorough. You went through it the right way.
I was sweating. There was a moment that Father Justin, he sits in front of me. Oh, so first of all, I go in and it's clear skies.
Yeah.
Like not a cloud everywhere. So clear skies. I go in there and like 2 hours in, I see him looking at me and he just leans over and there's a fan there and he's pushing it towards me because I'm sweating. Because now the big ones are coming. The end,
Yeah,
I go,
right.
oh my God.
I'm just getting warmed up here.
So Kevin told me, he says, listen, once you're out, you got to call me because, there's got to be a weight lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah.
So I called him right away. And it was raining.
Yeah.
No, when I was raining, clear skies raining. And I go, dude, you're right, man. Oh my God, I feel so much better. It's off me. I said, it was hard. It was really hard. I was sweating bullets. He said, but check this out. I said, when I went in, clear skies. Now it's raining. He's washing away my sins. And he goes, No. I go, what? He says, you made God cry, dude. Okay,
that's awesome. So, and then do you ever have this experience like where you're like in confession like 2 years later and you're like, oh, I forgot that one?
Oh, no, many times.
Yeah.
It's like the examination of conscience, I always say. In the evening when you do it, in the morning when you do your morning prayers, all the ones that you forgot that day, they pop up with me.
Yeah.
And then I say, hey, listen, I guess this is a pattern now.
Yeah.
Let's please question your way. What we need to know, it's very easy to understand. All creation, everything that God did, for him, it's one act, right? Mm-hmm. So he's not affected by time and space because there's no time for him. So literally, everything that we know of that happened in the world, it's just one act for him.
Yeah.
Right? He is.
It is.
He never was. He never will be. Yeah, So once you know that, you can also, if the next day you go like, oh, I forgot that yesterday, but for you there is no yesterday. I understand that. So you see,
Absolutely.
so at least you have that. I use as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, we pray outside of time.
That's it.
That's the most amazing thing about it. Like I've even heard that you can pray for events that preceded you decades ago, and that God can use whatever. It's not like he's going to alter time or anything.
Oh,
like
for
that,
healing
but
or something.
Healing and sanctification.
Oh, I
and
love that one. Because literally, I'm going to have to ask her that.
Yeah.
Because still with me, there is still that. You always think that people judge you, but that comes from when I was a kid, of course, with my skin disease. And that is still something that I go like, and it's way less. And like don't care what people say. I always say, you can't control what people think, right? So as soon as you can control it, why would you be worried about it? Because they made up your mind about you anyway. When you walk in, they already have your mind. The way you walk, the talk, what you're wearing, what you do. If something, any of these traits, which are hundreds of traits we don't know about, like a little twitch or a little this, or the way you shave your beard or whatever it is, if one of those things identifies them to a person that they don't like, who did something bad to them, automatically they already have a little bit guard up. And it starts. And that's just one thing. And then it starts more. So they already judge you right away. And you can't control that. And most of the time when you start speaking, they start realizing, oh, okay, he's a good guy.
Not the same guy,
Yeah, but we all do that. We all do that.
Yeah.
But with me, it was always negative because I was always negative as a kid.
Yeah.
You would go back in time. Like they always say, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt. Well, it's completely the other way around. Words are way worse. Like what it did for me.
Yeah.
I remember there was a moment in my life that I was bullied again on the play yard. Our house was a quarter of a mile, 400 meters, 500 meters away from the school. And we were outside and there were trees there also. And I think I just saw a Tarzan movie or whatever it was. And then I wanted to be cool. I grabbed a branch and I wanted to swing and stomp him in the chest. The branch broke.
Oh.
And I'm falling on the ground. And everybody already was bullying me, is laughing at me now.
Yeah.
And I remember me running home. I grabbed the kitchen knife and I ran back. And if my mom, I truly believe this, I hope it's not the case, but she saw me running to the front with a knife and she started going after me. And she was able to catch me before I went back to school. Wow. But at that moment, I was completely insane. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
So for people who say that, and then you hear these school shootings, horrible. But if this is a kid that's constantly bullied and constantly bullied, I can understand it. Do I condone it? 100%. You can never.
Yeah.
But bullies need to understand that there's guys like me also who made a short list, thankfully, from the guys who bullied them.
Yeah.
Oh, and I went after them. You're going to get paid back for what you did so many years ago.
Yeah.
So
and you completed your list too, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was just like 4 guys or 5 guys.
Right.
It was not like a big list.
I mean, that's an interesting thing. By the way, you said something key that I think most people miss in life, that understanding is not agreeing or condoning. And understanding is like a superpower. If you can understand, if you can understand somebody who's completely different than you, but you at least get the human nature side of it, your advantage is so great. So that's why I was asking you before, like, I don't know if you know who Paul Harvey is, but
Paul Harvey, he did the If I Were the Devil.
If I Were the Devil.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what so he did this If I Were the Devil. Interesting though, like the Bas Rutten, as a fighter who knows how to take people out.
Yeah.
Like, what strategies do you recognize just from fighting? I mean, like just one is like, if you're in really great shape, you're going to exhaust your opponent, and that's the devil's strategy.
Yep.
But like, what are some other, like, if you think about it that way, there's insights that you probably have that you could tell people who are struggling, like, hey, that's a fake. What would those be? Anything come to mind?
In fighting?
Like, no, if you were the devil, knowing that you know how to fight, and you're going to like you would probably beat some opponents, I would imagine, by saying, I'm just going to be in so much better shape. I know this guy's good, but I have to wear him out.
Yeah.
Okay? Then there'd be other times where you're like, you know what? If I come in from this side here, he's going to fake, and then I'm going to just soften the liver.
Yeah.
What are the fakes that you faced in your life that other people face? Like the devil is faking you out, or how is the devil exhausting you?
In the beginning it would be very much in your face. Picture of a lady in a bikini or something is very much in your face. And then I start on Instagram, I go hit the 3 dots, and I want to see this, boom, it goes off. And then a story like that goes in your head.
Yeah.
And once it's in your head, you say, dude, I recognize it. But it's like 10 seconds in, and I already thought about it, and I go like, dude, I know what you're doing, stop this. Mm-hmm. And then he starts changing the story. It starts changing it with, for instance, a woman walked in, or whatever. It makes it into a story, but then it changes later into that same image again. And then every time, but I start recognizing that. I go, oh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, dude. I got it. I say, bring it on. Because I'm going to recognize every one of them. And once I start doing that, it completely went away.
Uh-huh.
So what's really, that's with the sins. Like for me, it was judging also, because what happens, I'm mirroring, right? I'm a kid. I've been judged all my life, so I think automatically that I do that by other people as well, you know. And I hate that about myself, you know. And until this day, you know, if I see somebody who's like completely weird, I can understand if you do it yourself, you know, with the things in your face, I'm allowed to do that. But that's not judging. That's like you drawing attention to you, and that's why you do it. But somebody who has grossly overweight or something, if I think like, oh my God, look at, that's literally how far it goes. Oh my God, stop. And I get so disgusted. I already thought that. And then I think, did I really think that? Or is that the devil just planted it?
Because I think it is.
Well, he knows, God knows that I really don't like that.
It's a manifestation of the
it's just
thought.
a manifestation of a second, and then, but I hate it when I go like, I would like to do without that. But boss, it's just a second. So, but why would it be there? You know, and those things take a long time.
Well, demons and angels have access to our thoughts.
Oh yeah, and they can push certain directions.
They can push it in certain directions, and we just have to not comply. And I know you know that, but that's a fascinating thing when I think about it too, because I think that idea of like the in-your-face thing is a great test.
Easy.
Yeah, because it's like, I just think about it like the triangle choke. You were saying that I just really had to learn this. Like, I know it, but I need to understand it. Well, that's kind of like what you're doing in spiritual warfare. It's like, okay, I recognize that. There's a pattern there. I'm not gonna be faked out by that anymore. I'm gonna do it. I think this is just such a good thing too. When people really want to intensify their holiness, they have to train it.
It's an ongoing battle. Like the 10 Commandments, it's easy.
Yeah.
Well, don't do this, and God. And in the beginning I thought right away. Got it. Don't worry about it. Now I started telling people, Matthew 7, right, 3-5, how to remove the splinter from his eye while I have a wooden beam stuck in my own eye. Hypocrite, you know, first remove the wooden beam so you can see clearly, and then you can try to remove the speck from your brother's eye. And I start seeing that, oh my God, I'm doing that. Okay, that's the one I have to work on. So once these, the 10 Commandments, that's all easy.
Yeah.
But now you go to the cardinal virtues: prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, you know, and all their sub virtues. Try to stop those. Good luck with that. Try to stop the little pride things. Here I go again. Open the door for somebody. And the person doesn't thank you. If you get aggravated, or in the past, I would go, oh, you're welcome. That's pride. That's the number one sin. Right? Pride, wrath, greed, envy, lust. I mean, so and then these little things, those are the worst. These little tiny things that makes you aggravated.
By the way, I got to just stop right here because I'm distracted on something. I don't know how many guests we've had, and even theologians, and I've been on a podcast, and you're the only person I have ever heard not just mention the cardinal virtues in proper order, but that there are virtues within the cardinal virtues on top of that, and it comes from Bas Rutten. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a little.
I'm always at our retreats are with Father Ripke.
Well, so then you would get it because he's the.
So if you go to the sub virtues, well, I know there's also and I always try to be the on purpose. This is kind of a joke with us. He goes, Bas Rutten, I know the answer. I got put me in coach. You know, I freaking memorize those things. Because for me, those are the most important ones. Is the little pride things. The little things that if you, like my wife, you know, if she's driving and she does it to me as well, she says, oh, watch out for okay, now, if I do it with her, you shouldn't do like this. She never had an accident. I'm the one who had the accident. I shouldn't be telling her that. It's pride. It's because I believe I'm better than her. You know, it's, the biggest thing for me came, and that was with Kevin. We were driving on the freeway, and somebody cut him off. He was driving. I was shotgun. And then he goes, man, what a, you know. And I'm saying, it's just a dumb. Don't worry about it, you know. And I'm sitting there, and it's quiet. I go, oh my God. He goes, what? I go, dude. He goes, what? I go, it's pride. He goes, what is pride? I go, if I will be driving, and that happens to me, I get angry.
Totally doing it.
I said, but now I'm sitting shotgun, happens to you.
Relax.
It's okay. I said, so that means that I have to see it as a personal attack on me. Like this guy's driving on the street and he sees, hey, that car, that's Bas Rutten, the UFC champion. Let's cut him off. Right? That's literally what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And then I tell the people, you don't know what happened to that guy. We assume he's a douche. What if he had a phone call? His wife is in the hospital.
Yeah.
And that's why he's speeding.
Yeah.
And now you want to stop the guy or like doing something back. If you don't know the situation, let it go.
Yeah.
And that is with people when you open the door or when you say hello to somebody who doesn't say anything. Can I have agoraphobia? There's so many reasons, thousands of reasons that person doesn't say anything back because they're just not in that state. And then we get angry.
Yeah.
That's right. You do things because they're the right thing to do. If you do something for a thank you, you're not doing it for the right thing.
Right, for what you get back on. It's like this, everybody that goes to, it's always laughing, like, okay, wait, you went to Africa to feed kids, which by the way is great. I actually support some children in Africa. But you're horrible to your family.
Yep.
You're horrible to your neighbor. And it's strange that when you went to Africa to feed the kids, you all you did was post Instagram pictures about that. That seems like maybe there might be another motivation there. Yeah. But by the way, my wife is the best, and one of the many reasons that God put her in my life is she's just peace. Like being married to her is like taking a shot of peace every single day. And my personality is a little bit more like yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So driving wise, I'm always like, hey, if you don't think I have personality flaws, when you just haven't ridden with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's totally calm all the time. So she does this imitation of me driving. And it's about the funniest thing I've ever heard because she's so calm. So when she does it, it's insane. It is so unflattering by the way when she does it that it's like, I have no defense. I can't go, I'm not like that. I look at her, I laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to not do like that. It's crazy. So Bas, we've got about 60 seconds left because you've got this, 3 different, you're a busy man. You've got podcast after podcast left up. But in 60 seconds, what's happening in your world right now?
Karate Combat. I'm the chairman of that company and the host of the show. Then, of course, I do public speaking, Catholic speaking all over America. And then I have the Auto Trainer, which is a breathing device that trains your muscles responsible for opening your lungs, which is weird for people because your lungs don't do anything. Your lungs actually open by chest expansion, and that's done by 11 pounds of breathing muscles. And the more you can expand your chest, that creates a vacuum, actually, that chest expansion between the body and the lungs, that will open up the lungs. So since lungs don't have muscles, but your breathing muscles you can work out, it's a like every Olympian endurance athlete, they use inspiratory muscle training. It's weird to me that any other athlete is not seeing it. I had a few fighters that are doing it now, also for Karate Combat, but I can't mention the name because they feel the advantage they have right now. He says, don't tell the others. Yeah. But it's really an amazing product. You really should look into that because it's a gigantic difference. Like when you see world titles fights with me, when I'm breathing, you see me breathing like this. Yeah. 4 to 6 of this breath is the same as 1 correct diaphragmatic breath. And once you start breathing those muscles, so I go really fast into it, so you have an understanding because people go like, what is that going to do for you? Okay, so imagine you're hitting a bag, and suddenly your shoulders start getting tired, you hit the wall, right? Yeah. You're gassing. Well, that's the body right now. It starts redirecting oxygenated blood, and it takes it away from your arms. Well, why would it do that? Because I'm punching. Yeah, but it sends it to the number 1 priority in the body, which is breathing. Mm-hmm. 3 minutes without air, you're dead. 3 days without water, and then 3 weeks without food. That's the survival rule of 3. Yeah. So it starts redirecting that. Okay, because they start gassing. Okay, but wait a minute. You just said that you had 11 pounds of breathing muscles. Yeah. So what if I work those out, so they don't have to steal that blood anymore? Because that's actually because endurance. How does your endurance increases? And I always tell it's a very simple way. If you train the same muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient at its job. Yeah. Right? The word efficient already says it. It uses less oxygen, therefore your stamina increases. Okay, so why don't I work out those 11 parts of breathing muscles? Totally makes sense. So they become more efficient at their job. They don't have to steal that blood from your arms anymore. So the arms can keep on going. You delay your gassing. Yeah. And that's what the Auto Trainer does. I have a commercial on it that if you have asthma, COPD, if you use this thing for 4 weeks, it takes only 4 minutes a day for 4 weeks, and it's not 70% gone or more, I'll give you your money back. Yeah. I need to see videos of you, time lapses doing it. Right. I've been posting for 8 years, time lapses on a Facebook page, Bas Rutten's O2 Bootcamp, so you know that I'm doing it every single day because it's only, I do 5 minutes, but I'm an overachiever. Yeah. But you only need to do it 4 minutes a day. It will transform you. Just by better breathing, you pull in like 70% more air than you normally do. So that's all. It's a gigantic difference. I can go into why we breathe wrong. We don't have the time for that. But just check it out. It's all published, backed up by published medical journals. Go to o2trader.com, click on science. A drop-down menu will come with published medical journals. And once you're on the published medical journal website, I always tell people, just push it in Inspiratory Muscle Training. You have over 2,000 published medical journals, and you won't find one that talks negative about it. That's how powerful it is. We just don't know because we're programmed. Because I've been breathing since I was a baby.
Yeah, right.
I know how to breathe. You don't. Trust me, 95%. Look it up, Google it. What percentage doesn't breathe correct? 95%. And the 5% who does probably have breathing classes.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So there's lots going on. Well, I've got to have you on again one of these times when you're passing through town. So I'm grateful that you took time today.
Thank you very much, Dave.
All right.
Godspeed, brother.
Yeah,
Thank
Godspeed.
you. That was fun.